Tennessee's defense has improved every single year under Tim Banks and Josh Heupel, but I'm going to give you 3 reasons why Tennessee's defense is going to be really good in 2024. All that and more at your Thursday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into it. This is your Thursday edition of Locked On Vols. I'm your host, Eric Kane. Appreciate you guys for taking the time, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch. Each and every single day, we are live and, we're recorded. We are not live, but we are anywhere you get your podcast, where you can make it your first listen, your first watch. You can listen to us, download us, subscribe to us, all that for free, wherever you get your shows. Got a fun show coming up today. I'm going to give you 3 reasons why Tennessee's defense is going to be successful and going to be really good in 2024. In segment 2, an interview, part of an interview clip from the Josh and Swain show, 99.1 The Sports Animal. Of course, Josh Ward contributed to the show. Rod Delmonico, former Tennessee baseball team, is going to chime in on this Tennessee baseball team and what makes them so good and what makes them capable of winning a national championship. And then plus, I'm going to give you a look back at the last time that Tennessee truly played for a national championship, whenever Tennessee baseball finished as runner-up back in 1951. We're going to go back in the history books a little bit. All that and more is coming up here today on a Thursday Locked On Vols. So reason number 1 why I think Tennessee's defense is going to be much better and really good in 2024. Obviously, I'm not breaking any news here. It's that defensive line. That defensive line, pretty incredible. You can go 3 deep across the board. Really, you can go 4 deep in certain spots and feel like, sure, there might be a little bit of a drop-off, but not an awful lot. It's why Rodney Gardner's been so successful in terms of being a defensive line coach throughout his illustrious career. It's why so many of his players have developed and gone on to play in the National Football League. Richard Seymour is just one that comes to mind right off the top of my head. Byron Young's another one here lately of the Josh Heupel era. But he's got a long track record and a deserving track record of putting guys in the league, and he plays so many different guys across his defensive line, and that's not going to change this year in 2024. I remember the first time we talked to him in terms of the media whenever he was hired, and he said that 2010, 2011 Auburn team that was so good, he didn't think that he started the same defensive line, grouping of 4 or 5 the entire year. And I remember sitting there, and I'm just like, really? Seriously? Because remember, we're coming off of coaching Jeremy Pruitt that played 5 defensive linemen one year. And that was it. Literally, 5 defensive linemen. And then another thing that Rodney Gardner said in that opening press conference, when his first time talking to the media with this new coaching staff, is that he said, when the tank gets empty for a defensive lineman in a game, you can't put more gas in it. You're empty. You're done. So we like to spread the wealth a little bit and make sure that you've got a lot of fuel left when it's crunch time in the fourth quarter. And so I thought that was really, really interesting. And this Tennessee defensive line is really good. We'll start with the strong side defensive end. Sure, you lost Tyler Barron. He had a breakout year last year with 6.5 sacks, but you bring back Dominic Bailey, who's played a ton. You bring back Tyree West, who had a really, really good Citrus Bowl. Tyree Weathersby, who was a freshman last year. They got hurt, but I do believe that he would have played a significant role because they like him that much. Then you got Jason Jenkins, who kind of dipped his toe into the transfer portal, decided to come back, but they continue to rave about him in spring. So that strong side defensive end position for Tennessee football, it's in pretty good shape right now. With 4 guys you feel really, really good about. You go into the interior defensive line. You've got, Maury Thomas. You've got Bryson Eason. You've got Elijah Simmons. You've got Jackson Moy, newcomer. You got David Hobbs. You've got Nathan Robinson. You've got Omar Norman Lott. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of guys who can play in the interior and guys who you feel really, really good about. And again, there's not a whole lot of drop-offs there. You have a guy like David Hobbs that can play in the interior. He can also bump to the outside, but his best strength is inside, and he was a true freshman last year. Got a ton of playing time, playing alongside Amari Thomas or Bryson Eason or Omar Norman Lott. And he's going to continue to do that this year. And Omar Norman Lott had 5.5 sacks from the interior. Bryson Eason might be the breakout guy on that defensive line. And then on the Leo position, enough said. James Pearce, don't have to go in further comment after that, but of course, Joshua Josephs, who's had a really, really good year. Caleb Herring, who's up over 250 pounds. And then you have Jordan Ross coming in, who is a 5-star prospect. Wasn't here in spring practice, but is a guy that's got such a high motor and is going to turn into a really, really good player. So that defensive line is deep. You have options, and Tim Banks said it, day one of spring practice a couple months ago. They believe they are the best defensive line in the country. We'll see what they do on the field, but boy, they got a whole lot of options. They are the deepest, for sure, defensive line in the country. Okay, number two, the reason number two why Tennessee's defense is going to be good in 2024, linebacker play. Number one, you bring in Keenan Pili. Sure, he started the season last year. He played one game, tore his tricep, was out for the rest of the year, and that's unfortunate because of everything you wanted him, to do, his first year over from BYU, a veteran presence, a guy that's played a whole lot of football, a guy that was really, really good in the box. He's only gotten better in his out-of-the-box play since he's been here at Tennessee. He's gone through spring practice both years and done really, really well. But, of course, injuries, part of the game, so that's unfortunate. But so it's like you get a transfer portal addition really this year, even though you don't in Keenan Pili. Number two, you lose Aaron Beasley, who's a really good player for you for a couple years. That stinks. You lose Elijah Herring, who led your team in tackles. I think he's going to be a really, really good player. I liked him. I would have been fine if he would have stayed here and played at Tennessee because I think that he continued to get better and better as the year went on last year. But he's going to go down to Memphis and play more of a game that's kind of tailored to him, and I think he's going to do really, really well. But he did struggle a little bit outside of the box at times. You're getting more athletic with Arian Carter. You're getting more athletic with Jeremiah Thielander. You're getting more athletic with those guys who are now second-year guys who not only got their toes wet as a true freshman in 2024, they played an awful lot. Jeremiah Thielander, certainly towards the end there, played an awful lot. So these young guys got baptized by fire, and it's just going to get that much better, in my opinion, for Tennessee's young linebackers. Caleb Perry's in that mix, and then Edwin Spillman. I don't know if he'll crack the two deep, especially at a football camp or a fall camp, but that dude from Lipscomb Academy is going to be really, really good. Edwin Spillman, in my opinion, is going to be the next great linebacker here. Yes, I know Arian Carter's in a class ahead of him, and I think Arian Carter's going to be fine. I think Edwin Spillman's going to be good, just my take. And then number three, I think you got quicker and more athletic in the secondary. Jalen McCullough gave his all to Tennessee. He was on that field for pretty much every snap outside of a couple of games in 2022 when he had an off-the-field situation that he had to tend to. He was really, really, really good player for Tennessee. He was. Wesley Walker, played a lot of football for Tennessee. Trayvon Flowers a couple of years ago played a whole lot of football for Tennessee. And, of course, the quarterbacks who left the program, Kamal Haddon, Warren Burrell, Danico Slaughter, Gabe Judy-Lawley, all those guys have played a whole lot of Tamir McDonald. They played a whole lot of football for Tennessee, and that secondary continued to improve year in and year out. Go look at the stats. Stats don't lie. I don't know if Tennessee's secondary will necessarily be better in 24 because it's all brand new, but I do think that there's more athletic ability back there. Ricky Gibson playing every single day is going to be a good thing because I think he's a stud. Jermon McCoy was a freshman All-American in the Pac-12 last year, was an athlete, wide receiver, track star. I think he's going to be really, really good at Tennessee, coming in SEC play. Not a whole lot of depth at corner. I recognize that, and that's an issue, and that's something that you got to build on, but I like the two starting cornerbacks. Jacoby Thomas, he's a veteran. He's played a whole lot of football. We'll see what he's got. I'm ready to see John Slaughter play some. I'm ready to see Boo Carter play some. I'm ready to see Marcus Gorey and Idris Farouk play some. I think that you have some different talents back there that you haven't necessarily had, skill set wise, in a couple of years. And that's no disrespect to those other guys because I think that, Jalen McCullough especially, man, he played some good football for Tennessee over the years. He really did. But I do think that the secondary is going to be more athletic. So maybe you give up some passes, okay? But maybe you pick off a couple more passes. Maybe you have a key pass breakup on third down or in the red zone more so than that previous secondary did for Tennessee. We'll see. I think that's going to happen. Number one reason, in my opinion, best defensive line in the country. Number two, linebacker is experienced, and you get a transfer portal addition. Not really, but kind of in Keenan Pili. I think that's going to be good. And number three, I think you got more athletic in the defensive secondary moving forward. When we come back, Rod Delmonico, former Tennessee baseball coach, took Tennessee to Omaha in the College World Series for 3 years whenever he was here at Tennessee. He joined Josh and Swain on 99.1 The Sports Animal on, I guess it was Tuesday's show. We're going to play part of that interview coming up next as we continue on here with a Thursday Locked On Vols. Passion, drive, patience, the formula for winning championships is what also keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and leveled up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof rack, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts to choose from for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money is back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home the huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive today at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. A conversation on Josh Swain with former Tennessee head coach, baseball coach, Rod Delmonico. Part of that conversation is coming up next as we continue on here with Locked On Vols.
What you've seen from this Tennessee baseball team to this point this season, what they did through SEC play, winning their last 9 regular season series, regular season and tournament championships, and then winning the first 2 games in the College World Series?
Well, I've been very impressed with their team. They really have a complete team. They've got tremendous hitting. They can steal a base if they want to, but they really don't need to. Great defense, well coached. Tony's done an amazing job at Tennessee. So proud of him. But it did take another Italian to get that thing fixed, I have to say. But, and then Frank Anderson. I think Frank Anderson is one of the top 3 pitching coaches in the country. He might be the best pitching coach. If you look at his pitchers, they throw 3 pitches for a strike. Change up, as you well know, is the best pitch you got. And all of his pitchers have 3 pitches they can throw for a strike. Very competitive. It's a complete team. The other night they played North Carolina. And North Carolina I've seen several times on TV. North Carolina is a very, very good team. And Tennessee made them look average. That's how good Tennessee is.
What adjustments have you noticed through your coaching lens, Tony Vitello and Frank Anderson, over the last 2 or 3 years? I mean, this team is special. This season has been special. But have you noticed any tweaks, any coaching adjustments in the last couple of years?
Well, I think, it's the law of average sometimes. You can have a great team like they had a couple of years ago and just doesn't go as far as you think they should go. It's just so competitive out there. Everybody's good. And when you get to Omaha, there's only 2 teams that get to Omaha. There's a team that's happy to be there, and there's a couple of teams there that were just so happy to get there. And if they do well, they're happy. And then there's a team that goes to win the national championship. And LSU was really good under Skip Bertman. When they got there, their mission was to win the national championship. And I think that's where Tennessee is right now. They're on a mission. It's to win the national championship. They're tired of just being happy to get there. Not saying that they were in the past, but it's a growth process. And you've got 2 coaches that have been there. They know how to win. If they'll listen to their coaches and they'll keep playing like they did the other night. The other night, they just beat them. It wasn't like we're going to play and get a lead and kind of coast. They just took the fight out of North Carolina. It made North Carolina look far inferior than they really are.
We're talking to Rod Delmonico, former Tennessee baseball coach who helped lead the Vols to 3 College World Series appearances. I know I'm asking this with Tennessee now 2-0 in Omaha, but does this look like the most well-rounded team that Tony Vitello has had at Tennessee?
I would say that. They've got great leadership with their seniors. Like I said earlier, there's nothing they can't do. They can play defense. I mean, heck, the other night you got guys coming off the bench hitting missiles out of the ballpark. I mean, they have good depth. I think it's the strongest team that Tony and Frank have had, no doubt. And if they keep playing the way they are, then at the end of this thing, they'll be very proud of what they accomplished.
You've seen a lot of baseball, coached a lot of baseball, a lot of great baseball players. How do you put in the context and perspective the performance that Christian Moore gave us on Friday?
I love that guy, and I love his humbleness. The thing I loved the most the other night, believe it or not, was his post-game interview. Very humble. Didn't even know that he had hit for the cycle. That shows me the guy's locked in. There's nothing that he can't do on a baseball field. I feel like he's going to be a high draft pick. He's fun to watch. He's the guy that you come to the ballpark to watch. That guy right there. He plays the game the way it's supposed to be played, and then the humility that he had after the game speaks volumes of what kind of kid he is.
Rod Delmonico is with us, and you mentioned Frank Anderson, what he's been able to do for such a long time as one of the best in the business coaching pitchers. Why is he so good? What is it about what he's done at Tennessee with this staff? They've dealt with injury, had to replace some arms from a year ago, to where they've still had one of the best staff ERAs, and obviously in the position they're in now.
Well, first of all, it's a lot of experience. If you go back and look at Frank's coaching tree, he turned Texas Tech around and made them a contender. He goes to Texas, and they win a national championship. And we're having a difficult time winning one under Augie, who one of the greatest coaches of all time. Goes to Oklahoma State and does a tremendous job there. And then if you look, he goes to Houston, and nobody knew who Houston was. The only thing we knew about Houston was the Houston Rockets. And all of a sudden you got a baseball team that's got first-round picks pitching-wise. Did a tremendous job there. So it doesn't surprise me what he's done at Tennessee. It's what I said earlier. His guys throw 3 pitches for strikes and compete in the zone with a fastball, changeup, and an off-speed pitch. Composure is really good. You look at his pitching staff, that's coaching. He coaches them up, gets the most out of them. So it doesn't surprise me when he's had an injury or two or a player leaves that he's able to be able to, keep it right where it is. He's really, really good.
Rod, what does it mean to you to see Tennessee in this position? It's a program that you led for nearly 2 decades, seeing Tennessee doing what it's doing right now.
Well, you have to understand I put 18 years of my life there, helped build the new stadium, things that we were able to accomplish. Was blessed to have some tremendous players that played for me. But I had 3 boys grow up in that dugout. My kids grew up on that baseball field, throwing balls against the wall and catching. And so I'm very proud. You don't put your heart and soul into something like that and build it to a certain level and then happy that it falls apart. I'm proud of Tony, Frank, what they've done, the players that they've recruited, and the tradition that they've continued and built on what we did. Very proud of that. And so proud of Tony and the staff.
When Tony first got the job, how much did he reach out to you, lean on you, and what's been y'all's relationship the last couple of years?
Well, we've texted a lot. I've probably given him some pointers here and there, and he's reached out to me as well, and we've had a great relationship. And I don't know if that's because he's Italian and I'm Italian, or we just baseball coaches or what, but we like to eat at the same restaurants. I know that. But yeah, we've stayed in touch, and I texted him the other night. I thought the loss he had in the regional was good. Told him that. That's good. It's going to help you win in Omaha, because sometimes you need a loss like that to regroup and understand that you're not totally invincible, that anybody on any given night can beat you, and you've got to have your A game. And usually it's the team that plays the best wins today. It's not the best team. And so you have to keep that in mind. We have to be our best every day that we go out, and that's what they're doing. They're showing up with their A game, and they've done that in the World Series twice now. So they just got to keep going.
How much have you been able to see of the competition? You mentioned what North Carolina is as a team. I know you know plenty about Florida State's program as well, but that's the remaining side of Tennessee's bracket. And then, of course, you have the other side with Florida, Kentucky, Texas A&M has been one of the best teams all season long.
Well, you have to look at Florida State, which I know a little bit about. They just don't have a bullpen. Link's done a tremendous job getting them from where they were last year to this year to the World Series, one of the best coaching jobs in the country. But you also, North Carolina is a team that I thought that would be a close game. I really did, because I saw them in the regional. They played LSU and pitched really well. Their bullpen is strong. They've got Honeycutt, one of the probably 5 or 6 best position players in the country. But Tennessee dismantled them, and both teams. And so right now it looks like Tennessee's got a real good chance to come out of that bracket, and should. On the other side, it's kind of a toss-up. We're not sure who's the best team over there. A&M played well last night, but Kentucky's been sort of the Cinderella team. Do they still have more left in? So it's going to be interesting to see who can come out of that bracket.
Good stuff there from former Tennessee baseball coach Rod Delmonico. Josh Ward reached out to me earlier in the week and said, "Hey, we had Delmonico on the show, and he was really good. Would you like it for the show? And I'm like, well, heck yeah, man. We're in Omaha right now. Tennessee's playing for a national championship. Tennessee's continuing on in Omaha in the College World Series, and who better else to hear from than the guy who took Tennessee to 3 of those throughout his tenure here at Tennessee. And, of course, he coached Tennessee from 1990 to 2007. He was also the skipper for the Netherlands national baseball team during the 2009 World Baseball Classic. And anybody who knows me knows that I am a huge WBC fan and always have been. I love the WBC for sure. And, again, to put things in perspective, Delmonico took Tennessee to 3 College World Series from 90 to 07. Tony Vitello has taken Tennessee to the World Series 3 times in the last 4 years. That's 6 total times. Outside of those years, Tennessee's been to Omaha 1 time, 1 other time, and that was 1951, and that is where our conversation is going to go to right now. Again, I'm recording this before Wednesday's game because here in Omaha, guys, just peel the curtain back a little bit. There's a tornado warning just about every day, okay? Weather has been really, really gross looking. Winds have been all over the place. And coming into the day, the weather was not any better on Wednesday than it was on Tuesday night and Tuesday evening. So in my line of thinking, I'm like, okay, I need to get this show done because if this game gets delayed, and push back, again, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm hopping in front of a camera. I'm already a little under the weather, as you can probably hear and see me if you're on YouTube. And try to, go through with the show at 2 in the morning. So, as I always do, apologies, guys. Hope you don't mind too much, but nonetheless, we'll obviously talk about Tennessee and what happened on Wednesday. And if Tennessee did lose, well, it's game day again here on a Thursday. And still, this message I'm about to talk about applies for what we're about to talk for what Tennessee's got coming up. Essentially, Florida State's got to beat Tennessee twice. Okay, Florida State has got to beat Tennessee twice. Tennessee has to beat Florida State 1 time to punch its tickets to the College World Series Finals. What that College World Series Finals is, it's a best of a 3-game series. So again, I've kind of mentioned it. You start postseason play and regional play, which is double elimination 4 teams. That's kind of what Tennessee's been doing this week in Omaha. All right, Tennessee did that in Knoxville, where it took down Northern Kentucky, it took down Indiana, then it took down Southern Miss. Then you go to super regionals, where Tennessee won 2 out of 3 games over Evansville to get to the College World Series. Well, Tennessee's trying to wrap up its regional play here in Omaha right now to punch its ticket to the quote-unquote super regional, which is the College World Series Finals. And right now, Tennessee's looking as good as anybody here in Omaha at the time of this recording. And I wanted to, since Tennessee's only got to get 1 win in 2 tries to be playing in the final series, I wanted to dial it back and go look at the last time Tennessee baseball played in the College World Series Finals. It was the only other time. Remember, if you look back at recent history here, Tennessee hadn't been, winning a whole lot of games of late in Omaha when it's gone. Last year in 2023, it snapped a 6-game losing skid in Omaha when it took down Stanford in an elimination game. But before that, it lost to LSU. And then, of course, after that, it lost to LSU again to go 1-2 in Omaha in 2023. Tennessee was 0-2 in barbecue in 2005 and 2021. Losing to Virginia and Texas in 21, losing to Florida and Arizona State in 2005. In 2001, Tennessee was 2-2. Lost its opener in a football score, 21-13 to Miami. It won over Georgia 19-12. It won over USC 10-2, and then it lost 12-6 to Miami, who went on to win the national championship. Again, a lot of high-scoring games there in 2001. In 1995, Tennessee was 2-2. It won its first game over Clemson 3-1. It lost to Cal State Fullerton 11-1. Won to Stanford 6-2, and then lost to Cal State Fullerton again 11-0. And Cal State Fullerton went on to win the national championship. So that's the recent history before I go back to 1951. As you already know, this is the first time that Tennessee has ever started its Omaha trek 2-0 in program history. I just kind of went through the line there, and even in 1951, where I'm about to go and show you here, Tennessee did not start 2-0. Tennessee's path in 1951, it started with a 7-1 loss to Utah. It lost 7-1, got moved to the losers bracket. There, Tennessee rebounded, won 3-2 over Princeton. Tennessee won 2-0 over Springfield. Tennessee then had a rematch with Utah and won 5-4. Tennessee took down USC 9-8. And then in the College World Series championship game, Tennessee bowed out to Oklahoma 3-2. Now, the World Series looked a little bit different back then, okay? It was the 5th NCAA-sanctioned baseball tournament determined as a national champion. It was in the old Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium here in Omaha. Of course, there's a kind of, not a museum, but there's a lot of cool stuff around that old stadium that I still need to go check out while I'm here. Obviously, Charles Schwab was, decades and decades later. Oklahoma won that national championship, but the most outstanding player, the MVP, was given to Sidney Hatfield of Tennessee. Very, very interesting. This was more of a thing back in the day because, we talked about, so many of the greats and their performances back in the day where so-and-so would win the finals, but the star on the other team would win the finals MVP, or the NCAA Final Four MVP would go and be to this guy, but the team he was playing was the eventual national champion. You saw that more back in the old days. Nowadays, it's okay. Whoever wins, who scored the most points. Whoever wins, who scored the most touchdown. Whoever wins, who's the best player. That's kind of how it is nowadays in our era, but not back then. Tennessee's Sidney Hatfield was the MVP of the 1951 College World Series, though Tennessee did bow out to Oklahoma. Not as many teams back then. Okay, there were 8 teams, but they played on 5 days. So if you look at the rundown of games, on June 13th is when that tournament started in 1951. These teams played 4 games a day. 4 games a day on the 13th of June, 4 games a day on the 14th of June, 3 games a day on the 15th of June, 2 games a day in the semifinal round on the 16th of June, and then the College World Series game was on June 17th, 1951, and of course that's when Oklahoma took down Tennessee. But that was the last time Tennessee was actually legit playing for a national title. And again, I'm recording this before Wednesday's game because rain and weather, I'm anticipating this game going to be delayed or postponed or whatever, and we'll see what happens. But regardless, Tennessee's got to beat Florida State one time. Florida State's got to knock out Tennessee. Florida State will have to beat Tennessee twice to knock the Volunteers out. Never say never, and of course you can't, as my mother would say, you can't pull the cart without the horse or before the horse or whatever those old-time sayings are. But Tennessee's in a good spot. It is. And so I wanted to look back at the last time Tennessee truly played for a national championship, and that was in 1951 when Tennessee came oh so close, but bowed out to Oklahoma in the College World Series final. So we will see if Tennessee can finish it off, punch its ticket. We'll see who Tennessee's going to play if that's the case. Coverage here from Omaha, Nebraska. It's going on near a week now and counting, and that's okay because the longer I'm here, the better Tennessee's doing. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and listening to a lot of baseball talk today. Big thanks to Josh Ward for making the audio coverage available here for me, a former Tennessee baseball coach, Rod Delmonico. Thought he had a lot of good things to say about his relationship with Tony, how Tennessee's built, well-balanced, about some of these Tennessee teams in the regional or in the Tennessee games and the College World Series, all that and more. Hope you enjoyed it. A big thank you guys as well. We'll wrap up a week's worth of Locked On Vols. That is coming up on tomorrow's show. This is Locked On Vols.